Hi, everyone. I am going to do lesson 88 in math with you, and then we'll do the practice set together. But first, I want to introduce the new word transformations. Transformations is a big word, but it simply means change in form or appearance. When we learn that two figures are congruent, we learn that they are exactly the same shape and exactly the same size to be congruent. And all transformations does is give us three ways that we can move figures so that we prove that they're congruent by having one figure exactly on top of the other one. That's basically all it is. And there are three ways that we use these movements. The first one is rotation. Rotation is just simply what it sounds like. You rotate the figure. The second one is translation, which means to slide the figure. You can almost hear the word slide in translation. And the third way is reflection, which is like a mirror. It reflects, it flips. So let's look at the example they have in the book with the letters F. We have two letters here that we know are congruent, but we want to prove that they're congruent by putting one on top of the other. So the first way we can show that is with the movement called rotation. We can rotate this letter up. We simply rotate it, but it's not on top of the other one yet, so we need to do another movement. The other movement we would do would be sliding them together, or translation, slide them together. So we rotate it and then we slide. We rotate it and then we slide. Rotation and then translation, but they're still not on top of each other yet. So we have to do one more movement, and that would be reflection or flipping. So we're going to flip one letter over the other. And then we have one on top of the other showing that they are definitely congruent. We have proved it. Okay. If you would like to look at those definitions in your book with me, they're on page 459, and you can see the definitions written out for you there. The other thing that is used in moving figures is the degrees, or is something moved counterclockwise or clockwise. So let's look at this example they have in the book of the number 4. The number 4. Now, if we were to move this clockwise, 90 degrees would be like this, and clockwise would be this way, the way the clock goes. So it's either 90 degrees or it could be 180 degrees, like this. If they say move it counterclockwise, you would move it like this. So those are simply degrees sometimes they use, or clockwise and counterclockwise. The other example that's in your book that I want to show you the 3. We have our little 3 here. And in the book they ask us to rotate this a quarter turn to the right. A quarter turn to the right. So for you, that would be like this. And you can see the drawing in your book with that. And then we have two figures. We have two triangles. Triangle ABC and triangle XYZ. And so here's the example of our triangles as in your book. I'm going to use my demonstration ones here for you. And they say in the book, name the transformations that would move triangle ABC to the position of triangle XYZ. So one way we could do this, there's two ways we could do it. We could reflect or flip and then slide. So there are two ways, two transformations that we have to make. One is the flipping and the other is sliding, or reflection and then translation. All right, now I'm going to do the practice set with you. So bear with me as I get my iPad open here. And I want to make sure that you can see it. All right, hold on. I'm not as good at this as Mrs. Horsey. Hold on. go. Now I've got to make sure you can see what I'm writing. All right, there we go. Hopefully you can see that. So let's look at the practice set together here. The first thing we have for A, whoops, I'll get my pen going here. A is they have drawn an R for you. Oops. See, I need Mrs. Horsey to help me with this technology. All right, there's the R. And then they tell us to sketch an uppercase letter R after reflection in its vertical position. So we have our uppercase R, and we want to after reflection. So we're going to flip it. And then they want us to draw that. So we're going to draw it like this. Backwards. All right, not a very good R. There we go. I'm sure yours would be better. All right, now let's look at B. B says, sketch an uppercase letter R after 180 degrees clockwise rotation. So let's look at this again, and we're going to go 180 degrees. This is after, let's do it like this first. 180 degrees counterclockwise. So we're going to go like this. So it's going to look like an upside down R. Like that. Okay, then let's look at C. C tells us we have triangle A and B. Triangle A and B. Oh, I have triangle A and B. Let me use those. Okay, triangle A and triangle B. And they said, what could we do to position triangle A and triangle B on top of each other? So the main thing we could do at this point is reflection, or flipping one over on top of the other. So that would be C, would be reflection. And I would like to remind you that that means just flipping it. Flip. Okay, let's look at D. D tells us that we have A and B at angles like this. I want to be sure I put them the way they are for you, because it's all backwards for me. Okay, like this, A and B. So what is a way that we could get these on top of each other? Well, maybe you can think of it. Maybe by rotation. Rotation. And then we have one on top of the other. So D would be rotation. And I would just remind you that just simply means to rotate. All right, let's look at E. E has A and triangle B. Triangle A and triangle B, like this. What is the best transformation that we could use to put one on top of the other, showing they're congruent? Well, the easiest way, and maybe you're thinking this, is sliding them. Translation. Sliding them. So E would be translation. Now let's look at F. F is a tricky one. I want to put them, because again, you are back. I am mirrored and backwards to you trying to do this, so I'm going to try to do it correctly. Okay, here's A and B, like this. Hopefully it looks like that to you in your book. A and B. Okay, what are some ways that we could, now we're going to have to do more than one way to move these on top of each other. Let me get them where you can see them. Okay, the first way would be that we want to flip A up and then slide. So we could say reflection, and translation, because first we flipped it and then we slid it. Okay, let's look at another way. Would be, I want to be sure I have these right. And B is like this. Okay, A and B. Another thing we could do is we could rotate A, then we could reflect or flip A. I want to be sure you can see, sorry. We could flip A, and then we could slide A. So there are 3 movements for that. Rotation, reflection, and translation. And you may be able to figure other ways that you might move them in sliding or flipping or rotating them. And that's all transformations really is about. So that's our practice set, and now you can go ahead and do your odd number problems. And thank you for your attention, and I'll talk to you later.